Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. How are y'all today? So today we have, what do we have today? We have AMA for today. AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. Let me see. My whiteboard is not quite working today. Let me see, where's the all right, okay. So today's top is Ask Me Anything. Yeah. And earlier on I found that there's a lot of questions being posted already. But before we start off on that, just want to do a check-in with everyone. Hope everyone is good. 2 more days and the circuit breaker is over. And we'll be going on to the first phase 1, and followed by 2 and 3. So hope everybody has been keeping well. So let's see. Somehow the questions are not ordered in the Okay, good afternoon. Okay, first question comes from Xuejun Zhang Xuejun. So today's Ask Me Anything, it's supposed to, the theme is on meditation, but I'd be happy to have the, go beyond that as well. So the first question comes from Xuejun. He asked, we are in the IoT era. It seems appropriate for me as a lay Buddhist to express fair opinion and to disagree with others on social media. What's your view on this? Yeah, IoT, as you all know, Internet of Things, is the latest, greatest thing. I don't know whether it's the greatest really, but in the tech industry they always say this is the latest, greatest thing. Well, I think perhaps this question is applicable not just in the IoT era. Yeah. Is it fair as a lay Buddhist to express, or is it appropriate for him as a lay Buddhist to express fair opinion and to disagree with others on social media? I think there's nothing wrong with disagreeing with people. The question is, how do we disagree? And for those of you who have been on my Facebook page a while, you will know that I'm the last person to tell you not to disagree with people. Yeah, and I don't know whether this question is meant to be taken at face value, or is there a follow-up question on that. But put briefly, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's fair to have a difference in opinion and to express it. But perhaps we can take note of a few things. The first thing is, if we want to post something online and make it public or among our friends. If we post it public, then we have to expect that anyone with the public link who can see it can have their own opinion about it. And when they have their own opinion about it, they have the right to leave a comment. Yeah. If let's say we refer to Facebook, Facebook and many platforms allow you to delete the comments if you don't feel like looking at it, or you can just choose not to look at it. Yeah. So if we express something, we must also expect that people may have thoughts about it. Yeah, I think that's fair. But one thing is that when we express our thoughts, how do we express it, and do we try to understand the other person's point of view? Yeah. Or do we just want to convince the other person of our point of view? I think it's okay to disagree. Yeah. If we look at the Buddha's time as an example, sometimes when I do that, I'm like, I like to do that. Yeah, I mean, we're Buddhist, right? And I'm a Buddhist monk. But sometimes I also wonder, like, do we need to refer to the Buddha's time for every single thing to know what is appropriate or what is not appropriate? So personally, I think it's fine. But I think there's this notion that whether for lay Buddhist or monastic, people are not comfortable with confrontation. Yeah, and I think this is more of a Chinese culture than a Buddhist culture, because if confrontation is something that, or like having the discussion of differences in opinion is simply to be avoided at all costs, then a huge number of our sutras will not even exist, because a huge number of the sutras is about differences, in principles and views. Yeah. Many times the practitioners of another tradition, ascetics or Brahmins, they would come to see the Buddha and they will express their views. Sometimes the Buddha would share what is taught in what he teaches, but many times he would ask them instead to share what they think. The Buddha didn't say, "Oh, don't tell me, I don't want to discuss." Yeah. And the Buddha didn't just say, "Oh, when they bring up an opposing view," the Buddha didn't just like think to himself, this is differing views, I shall keep my golden peace and remain silent. Yeah. The Buddha did indeed express silence in some cases, but only in those cases where the discussion is futile. So I think it's okay. Feel free to post follow-up comments if you have other thoughts. Okay. Doreen Sid asks, next question from Doreen Sid. I know Doreen from a while back, back in Meta Welfare. That was some 11 years back, I think, 10, 11 years back. So I think she is working in the Buddhist library as the counter staff. So Doreen Sid asks, I know it's best to go vegetarian, but for those who can't, can they take beef? It's best to go vegetarian. Best in what sense? Best in what sense? There are a lot of people who are vegetarian these days, but they may be vegetarian for different reasons. Nowadays in the West, there are a lot of companies, commercial MNCs. The CEO have come forward to encourage vegetarian diet. Yeah, they do this due to green reason. Yeah, because they found that the amount of resources to produce a pound of beef, because in US the primary meat that they consume is beef. So to consume a pound of beef requires an inordinate amount of resources, be it water, be it land, and other energy sources. And on top of that, the amount of I think it is methane that the cows produce, yeah, is a lot. So best can be many other angles, yeah. But in the Buddhist sense, it will be in terms of the cultivation of compassion. We choose a vegetarian diet to minimize our harm to living beings, yeah, as a conscious effort. Yeah, so this is part of our practice of compassion. Yeah, when we say it this way, sometimes it feels a bit odd, like, shouldn't you just be compassionate? Yeah, but compassion is not something that we just talk about. That it should be expressed in as many ways as possible in our life. Yeah, so given that most people, have a choice today, so why not, right? So her question is, for those who are not vegetarian, yeah, the question maybe is more about those who can't be a vegetarian, but I think it's applicable to anyone who cannot be or don't want to be as well. So can they take beef? So this question about beef is primarily linked to the Chinese lineage. In the Chinese lineage, there is this background story of this Miao San Gongzhu, yeah, who was from what I heard, a very kind princess. I don't know her personally. I don't think any of us in the present age know her personally. So it's through this word of mouth and legend, and I don't know whether there are any historical records of this princess. Yeah, there probably is, but apparently she is kind enough that many people take to her with great fondness. Yeah. So so eventually they I don't know when this switch came over. Yeah. Today when we hear the story, and in fact there are some movies made, it is positioned as though she is by default the manifestation of Guan Pusa. But I think is less that. Yeah. I think it's more that she's very kind, very compassionate, and so people see her like Guan Yin Pusa, like she remind them of Guan Yin Pusa. Yeah, and so I think after many generations, then she reminds them becomes she is Guan Yin Pusa, something like that. There is no scriptural evidence that points to her being a manifestation of Guan Yin Pusa. Yeah. I don't think she ever claimed to be a manifestation of Guan Yin Pusa as well. But what has this got to do with the story of or the question of beef? So her father apparently is the antithesis, and he is like really horrible. So then it was said that after he died, he got reborn as a cow or bull, if you will. But they have no idea which bull, you see. So it's very interesting. They have no idea which bull it is, and so they decided, okay, out of in lieu of Guan Yin Pusa, out of kindness, let's not eat the beef. Yeah, let's not eat beef. Yeah, that's one angle. From the Miao San Gongzhu's angle. So traditionally, if you so-called pray to Guan Yin Pusa, then you don't eat beef. Yeah. But if we just take a step back and think about this logic, right? In the Pali Canon, there's this sutta called the Mata Sutta. Yeah, Mata Sutta. So literally mothers. So the Buddha said that from his direct observation of manifold past life of countless individuals, what I often call the first big data analysis. So he observed many patterns, among which he declared one, which is sentient beings have been going around in samsara since beginningless time. There's no start, as far as he observed. Yeah, there's no discernible beginning. Yeah, so in Buddhism, no first life, countless. Yeah. So then he says, we have been. So you cannot find any individual who has never been your mother, who has never been your father, who has never been your brother, who has never been your sister. Yeah, the title is Mata Sutta. So then, by extension, if you find any, not just cow, any goats, any chicken, any duck, any pigs, then you cannot possibly find one that you say, oh, this one I can eat. Why? Because never been my father or mother. Right? So yeah, if you go by that, Guan Fusa's or Miao San Gongzu's father was reborn as a cow, so we don't take beef. By extension, then we shouldn't take any other animals, because all the animals would have been our father or mother, brother or sister at some point in time in the past. Yeah. But that's all moot point if you don't subscribe to the teaching of rebirth. Oh, sorry, is it still playing? Oh, I hope it has stopped playing. I'm scrolling through the comments as we run through. Hui Hun asked, may I ask with regards to meditation? Yes. How can I increase my awareness when I feel sleepy, and tips to make myself not feel sleepy? When my body starts to lean to one side, should I shift back to center or just stay? Okay, let me answer question 2 first. So sometimes when we meditate, our body may lean to one side. Yeah, in the lineage that I was trained in, it's perfectly okay to just leave it. Yeah, as long as it doesn't cause a strain on your body or disturb your sitting. Yeah, if it leans, it leans. Just be aware of the leaning and just let it be. So in our center, sometimes back in US, we sometimes see like, or sometimes during retreats, we see people sitting in all kinds of posture. Mostly like upright, but sometimes they can be leaning forward a lot, but they are not like dozing off. They are leaning to the side, and so on. But there's also this notion that if you are leaning too far off, then maybe you can come back to the center. So how can I increase my awareness when I feel sleepy? You can try taking a few deep breaths. You can try opening your eyes half open to keep yourself slightly more alert. Yeah, there's a couple of other talks that I've given about this. They are basically the 7 steps to overcome drowsiness. But you can also try. So you can try opening your eyes half open. You can do reflection on the Dharma. You can rub your limbs, pull your ears. You can go and wash your face. You can do walking meditation. Yeah. So the key thing is that all these are mostly mitigation steps. That means you may have some reasons why you are sleepy, but this can help to overcome it. But these are useful only if the root cause is temporal. Yeah, that means the cause of your sleepiness is just a passing moment. Yeah, in some cases, it is, let's say, like extreme fatigue. So if it's extreme fatigue, none of that is going to remove the fatigue, because the fatigue is due to, you know, using up of your energy. Yeah. Or it could be that you are not feeling well. Yeah. Or it could be that this is your habitual sleeping cycle. Like usually you sleep at 10 plus 11 and then you choose to meditate at 12. So of course you're going to be sleepy. Usually you wake up at 7 and now you choose to wake up at 5:30, 5 to meditate. Then initially you will be sleepy. But if you are to adjust your sleep cycle, then you will be okay. The other thing is, if you meditate very shortly after a meal, like sometimes SGC is very close to the meal time. So sometimes we may even feel drowsy. So then try to avoid meditating immediately after your meals. So Esther asks, is meditation is all about awareness? Meditation, yes and no. Yeah, in a way yes, because in Buddhist meditation at least, it's about holding the awareness, but it is not as an end by itself, because then it leads to quietening of our discursive thoughts, and that itself is also not as an end by itself, because then it leads to the direct seeing, which we can say that is a form of awareness. Yeah, but it's much more penetrating. Okay, so let's see. Good afternoon to all of you. I won't be calling out everybody's name. There's quite a lot of people today. Besides taking medication, this question is from Sylvia Ang. How does one live with or accept physical pain and discomfort arising from a chronic illness? So, besides taking medication, well, in the West, interestingly, it's been maybe some 20 odd years, 20, 30 odd years, there's this program called MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program. So it started off with cancer patients, where they are given pain medication, and to a certain point it stopped to have lesser and lesser effect. So I think one of the doctors or something, Harbad Singh, and so I think he's Myanmar, and he introduced mindfulness meditation. Yeah. So MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program, is directly pulled from the mindfulness practice, and is largely based on the Satipatthana Sutta. Yeah. So that is actually a well-documented approach, yeah, for using Buddhist meditation in relation to physical pain. Yeah. And from what was written, the patients who are, I don't think any of them are Buddhists, and they just, and it's not as though they were meditators to begin with. Yeah, they were taught simple methods of awareness, mindfulness, and bring the attention to the breath, bring attention to the pain itself. Yeah. So this is something that is, I think, quite unique in Buddhism, that instead of running away from the pain, before there's pain, to train ourselves to be able to be mindful, to be aware of our body and mind. Yeah. And then, there's the four foundations, right? Sen So Xing Fa. Yeah. So body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Then, such that when pain does arise, we are able to face it. We are able to observe it, to be aware of it, without without being averse to it. Some people say embracing it. I like to perhaps highlight that it's not so much embrace as in liking it. Yeah, I don't think we should be liking pain. I think that would become masochistic. Yeah, but rather to be able to accept that pain is part and parcel of life. That the pain that arises is part of the nature of this body. The body, with all the senses that we have, in particular the physical sense of touch, is the largest organ, sense organ anyway, is capable of giving us painful, pleasant, neither painful nor pleasant sensation. Yeah, this is taught by the Buddha. Yeah, this is not something new that we borrow from medical science. This is something that is taught in the suttas directly. Yeah, and this practice helps us to, in a way, come to terms with it, but more about acceptance. Yeah, more about kind of like learning to live with this other aspect of our body. Because if you think about it, nobody actively go and look for pain, right? Yeah, but we do actively look for pleasure. For the most part of our daily life, our body gives us neither painful nor pleasant sensation. Occasionally, we go from the hot outdoors to the room with aircon, then we feel, oh, nice, chill. But after a while, that chill, we become acclimatized to it, normalized to it, and then we don't feel much. Yeah, then maybe we feel too cold. That same cold now start to hurt us. We start to feel uncomfortable. Yeah, but we are usually also not really aware what that discomfort is, because we very quickly put on sweater lah, put on jacket lah, adjust the aircon lah, or turn off the aircon. We are constantly trying to change our experience to regulate it, which is no crime and shame, but as a result, we miss out on the chance to learn more about the experience. Yeah. So in the Buddhist practice, it's about learning more about this experience, knowing more, and through this direct knowing, direct seeing, then the way we relate to it becomes transcendent. It transcends the usual likes, dislike. Yeah, and so that's how the practice can help people to live with or accept physical pain and discomfort. Yeah, and I think this is something that is very helpful for people to learn to do, even before they have any chronic illnesses. In fact, I would say even better if they start before that. Yeah. But the trouble is sometimes, no pain, no itch, then no impetus. Yeah. So unfortunately. So thanks for this question. Irene Ng Ailing asked, Shifu, when I use breathing as object of meditation, do I observe breathing at the nostril or the rising and falling of the tummy? Which is better? Haha, good question. So oftentimes during meditation classes, and usually during the first lesson, I will ask students this question. Yeah, how do you know that you are breathing? Yeah, how do you know? And usually the response is, of course I know. Well, because I'm alive. Yeah, this is usually one of the common reply. I know because I'm alive. Yeah. So this is one way to know that we are breathing, and it is knowing by inference. So why? Because living things breathe, and since I'm alive, I should be breathing. Yeah, so this is inference. So then I ask, what else? What other ways? Then you think about it. Then sometimes some students offer and say that, oh, because I can feel the breath. So I say, okay, good. Now try to So then I asked them to try to go and observe themselves breathing. Yeah, not meditate. Observe themselves breathing. And I tell them to just observe 3 counts. Yeah, or sometimes 5, sometimes 10 counts. Yeah, just 3 to 5 counts. Okay, sort of like do a system check. Yeah, and when they finish, raise their hand and then they can stop. And usually after 1 minute or so, most of them would have observed it. Yeah, and after that I will ask the students, like, how many of you observe it at the nose tip or upper lip area? And then a certain number would raise their hands. Not all, a certain number. Because right at the start I never give them instruction on how to observe. Just observe, just be aware, right? But they naturally, some of them naturally observe it at the nose tip area. Then I ask them, how many of you observe it at the diaphragm area? Yeah, and some of them would say yes, they observe it there. Yeah, and likewise, not all of them, not the rest. And some of them would just say that they observe it by just that general sense of the whole body, the chest area, you know, breathing in and out. Yeah. And so then I tell them that, so what does that tell us? You know? Wait, hang on. Let me just make sure that the comments are updated. Yeah. So then I ask them, like, so what does that tell us? In the 10 over years I've been back, 10, 14 years, in the different classes I've conducted, there's no one class where everybody uses the same place. Yeah. And so I share with them that, and why? Because I think we are all different. Yeah. We have different affinity and propensity. And I share with them about how I've visited different centers and trained under different teachers, and depending on which lineage they are in, and depending on the teachers, sometimes certain teacher from a certain lineage, they teach a multiple set of methods, because from their own experience, they find that certain methods work better than the other. Yeah. So I reckon that certain teachers, they teach the observation of the breath here, maybe because it works for them. Yeah, maybe because it's very natural for them. And then certain teachers, they meditate observing the diaphragm, the abdomen area, because it's very natural for them. And then there are those who observe in the chest area, so because that's natural for them. Yeah. So usually in my classes, I don't enforce a certain particular area. Yeah, because I've trained under different teachers who teach different areas. It cannot be that only one particular one is correct and then the rest, what are they doing? They're just sitting around. Because each of these are they are all legitimate lineages with that dates back several hundred years. Yeah. So, or thousands rather. Yeah. So, which area is the best? An experiment I ask students to do during meditation class is this. You all can try this at home. So maybe you are sitting on the floor, maybe you are sitting on the chair or something. So use your palm, and if you're on the floor, put your hands on the floor. If you are sitting on a chair, use your hand to like hold on to the table or something. Yeah. And then I ask you some question. Okay. And if let's say I ask you, is the floor or the table, is it hard or soft? Yeah, and then you think about you go and you answer me. Yeah, is it hard or soft? And then I ask you, is it rough or smooth? Is it warm or cold? Is it stable or unstable? Yeah, because we are all in different places. Usually in the class, they are all having the same environment. Yeah, but even in the same environment, it is how they experience it. Yeah. So the thing is, in these few seconds, when I was asking these questions, if you were consciously trying to figure out, trying to observe whether the floor or the table is hard or soft, smooth or rough, did you think about your work? Did you think about your family? Did you think about anything else? If you do it attentively, chances are you probably wouldn't have thought of anything. And usually in class, it's a much longer period because I was ask them slowly and then they will respond. Yeah. So the questions are actually related to the observation of the physical material. Yeah. Namely the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, wind, 地水火风. Yeah. Hardness, softness, roughness, smoothness, then hot, cold, and stability, movement, or stability, non-movement. So when I ask you all this question and you answer, using your hand, you are feeling it directly. Yeah. So you're not just looking at the floor and you're not just thinking, well, floor should be hard ma, Shifu. What kind of stupid question is that? Yeah, of course it's hard. It's the floor ma. No. But rather it is that because you felt it yourself. And because you felt it yourself, you are very clear. Yeah. And then when I ask you, is it smooth or rough? Because you felt it yourself, so you know. Yeah. And so on. So similarly, when we meditate and we observe the breath, we should observe to the same degree, yeah, that same clarity, where we feel the breath. Such that if someone asks you, are you currently having in-breath or out-breath? You know that it's the in-breath because you felt the in-breath. You know that it's out-breath because you felt the out-breath. Yeah? Or you know that the breath is long, you know that the breath is short because you felt the length of the breath. Yeah. So in Buddhism, when we say be aware of the breath, it has to do with this. So not thinking about the breath, not speculating about the breath, but directly being in touch with the breath. Yeah, as to whether to observe in the nostril or the rising of the tummy, you can try observing one of them, yeah, for different sittings, or in one sitting observe for a few minutes and then observe the other side for a few minutes. See which one works better for you, because I mean, if you ask around those people who have practiced under different teachers, they will tell you that, yeah, I've been doing this particular practice for a while, but the mind is always all over the place. The moment I switch, wow, immediately my mind quieted. Now sometimes it is that the foundation was laid using the first technique, and then when you switch to a second technique, cashing out, and then you get good sitting. Yeah. Important thing is, if you choose one, stick to it. Yeah, don't keep on switching back and forth. Huh? So Ingwi Teo asked, during meditation, if came across bad experience thought, how to overcome? Bad experience thought. If it's a bad experience thought, that means I presume it's either a memory of a bad experience or a thought about a bad experience. So first thing is that if you know that it's a bad experience, having a thought about a bad experience doesn't mean it's bad. Yeah, it can be a wholesome thought about the bad experience. For example, in the past, maybe we had an argument with a person, maybe we had a conflict with a person, and in the past we had a lot of anger, we had a lot of resentment, we had a lot of unhappiness about it. But now we may have a thought about that bad experience, but now, having learned the Dharma, we have compassion towards the other person. We may have a different viewpoint. Yeah, we may have clarity about that. So it can be different. So, but the fact that you say you want to overcome it, I presume it should be, this question should be about something that is unwholesome thought. So a few different techniques. One is, first of all, be aware. I presume you are aware. This could be an afterthought. After the meditation, so many thoughts, but I couldn't overcome it. So how to overcome? First, just be aware. Second, don't engage further with the thoughts. Just be aware, but don't engage further. And then third, we can in some traditions, it's basically don't deal with it, or leave it alone. It will cease, and then just come back to the breath. Another way is doing reflections, meaning use reflections. Reflect on the thoughts and danger of having such thoughts. Meaning, you reflect on the shortcomings about how does this thought benefit you? Does it benefit you or does it harm you? Does it cause you to become more agitated or not? And when you truly see that this thought bring you more problem than otherwise, then you would quite readily put it aside. Kaylin, hello. Hope we are well. This is a long-time student from, wow, it's been a long time, maybe almost 10 over years. So I recently heard that we must have minimum of 30 minutes for proper 禅修. Otherwise, anything below will only be considered as 静坐. May I ask if there's a minimum time that we need to meditate to have a meaningful sitting from Buddhism perspective? Actually, these two terms, 禅修 or 静坐, today is very loosely used. So it's not so much that, if you sit minimum 30 minutes, then it's considered 禅修. If we consider the term 禅, right, then you must have jhana. So even if a person really have jhana already, the person can sit for 1 minute, 1 moment, and enter jhana spontaneously, instantaneously, without sitting for half an hour. The half an hour is more for those of us who have not mastered jhana yet. Then you need the ramp up time. You need the critical mass. But in all likelihood, when we sit, the effort we put in for that sitting usually don't materialize immediately in full-blown jhana. Usually the full-blown jhana or quietude we experience is usually due to an accumulation of many sittings. Usually you don't accumulate enough within one sitting to have any jhana. But rather it is that because of the accumulated practices for a long time. So that aside, pertaining to the question, is 30 minutes the minimum? In fact, just recently I shared with some students about this. I personally agree with this figure, and to me this figure is like quite minimum. So a few things. If let's say you sit only 20 minutes, does it mean that it's not good? No, it's still better than 0. 20 is better than 0. But if you consider 30, is it better than 20? Of course, 30 is better than 20. Is there a minimum? Well, the minimum in our monastery in US is 1 hour 15 minutes to 1 hour 30 minutes. That's the more traditional minimum. I think some teachers may suggest 30 minutes because, like, if it's anything shorter, you haven't even reached critical mass and then you stop already. But I have been also encouraging students, that If they cannot do 30, at least do 20. If they cannot do 20, at least do 10. If they cannot do 10, do 5 lah. If they die cannot do 5, then do 1 minute lah. Yeah. Say for example, now Shifu say minimum 30 minutes. Does it mean that every one of you who is watching this video, not just Kaylin, but every single one of you will then say, every day I will sit minimum 30 minutes? I mean, if that's the case, then yes, please go and do 30 minutes. But I think there are many people who will end up not sitting altogether. Yeah. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what are you trying to sit for? Yeah. Not just for fun and laughter, peace and joy. When we do sitting, it's for a certain purpose, isn't it? Yeah. When we are sitting, we don't think about the purpose, but we do sit for a certain purpose. If our sitting is meant to lead to concentration, you do need a certain minimum. And I would say 30 minutes is a good gauge of a minimum. If you think about it, right, our whole wakeful hour in a day, yeah, in a whole day, say if you sleep for 8 hours, you have about 16 hours of wakeful time. Out of these 16 hours, how much of this time is focused and concentrated, tending towards mindfulness? Very little. If you just sit half an hour, you know what the percentage is? Let me just do, you all can do the calculation, but let me do it for you. If you sit for 1 hour, 1/16 is 6.25%. Yeah. 1/16 is 6.25%. This is how little it is. Yeah. So that's 1 hour. So imagine 6.25% of your time. And it's not so much, oh, so if I add them up, I'll reach 100%. No, because the other 93.75% is spent distracted. So that distraction is also cultivation, except that it's cultivating the mind being distracted. And that's why when we are sitting, a lot of our thoughts in the day, in the past few weeks, and towards the future, about the past, just keep surfacing. Yeah, because anytime we are awake, we are cultivating. It's a question of what habits we are cultivating. You know? So I think 30 minutes is a good ballpark. Yeah. But as I shared, imagine if instead of 30 minutes, you sit 5 minutes. And every 2 hours, you sit 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes, every 2 hours, you sit 5 minutes. Over 12 hours, that's 30 minutes. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, Buddhist cultivation is about one thing: familiarity. 习惯. Yeah. It's about cultivating these wholesome habits. So if you think about all the practices, 戒定慧, you think about chanting, you think about reading of sutra, it's all about repetition. Yeah. Why? Because we are not used to it. Not used to it. We're more used to doing as we please. We're more used to moving around. We are more used to moving ourselves when we are feeling a bit of discomfort. We're less used to staying still and facing the discomfort, observing the discomfort. We're more used to following whatever thoughts and impulses come along. Yeah, you know, as some people say, yeah, follow your heart, follow your feelings. Yeah. So we are used to that. We are not used to using our wisdom to observe. We are not used to quietening our mind. Yeah. So if we were to spend too little time, then we are still not allowing ourselves to become used to that. Yeah. And so if we want to have some results, yeah, then we need to give more time, more weightage to get more used to it. You cannot rush. You cannot say, oh, I just suddenly sit 8 hours a day and try to produce some results. Yes, you can produce some results, but whether you sustain that or not, makes a difference. If you can sustain it, then you also become used to it. But if you just do 8 hours here and there, still better than nothing. But then you miss out on the conditioning. So I hope that helps. Okay. As I said, to me, strictly speaking, if you want to have progress in your practice, you do need to spend a certain number of time, whether it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 1 hour, 1.5, 2 hours. A lot also depends on your own schedule. But if it's important enough, you will schedule it in. Okay. Esther further asks, someone commented that we are eating dead corpse when she sees us eating meat. Well, I've heard people say that before. I personally don't like to say that. I mean, it is a fact, but I sometimes wonder whether when we say that, I think for some people, when they hear others say that, hey, you're eating dead corpse, it gets them to snap out of the social conditioning that is food. Yes, that is food, biologically speaking. But at the same time, it is also dead corpse, isn't it? I mean, corpse is always dead. It's the corpse of a dead animal, right? So for some people, hearing that statement, it shocks the social conditioning and get them to rethink. Buddhism is a religion where we encourage people to think, to use our own wisdom to think for ourselves. So I would say this approach works for those who are ready to think. We are all able to think. I mean, barring some mental, physical condition. Other than that, we are all able to think. But whether we are ready to think or not, and whether we have some stimulus, catalyst to trigger us to think, that's the question. So for some people, this kind of statement can help others to start thinking. And in fact, I know of many young people, they don't hear such statements, but they watch some videos, those videos behind the scenes in the factories, and they're like, wow, the horrors in the farm. It's not like what, some of those Disney, whatever, wow, the animals are all happy talking to each other. The farm is not what we think it is. So perhaps this person is trying to say that, to get people to think. But sometimes it can be taken as in the wrong way. Or maybe said with a wrong intent, a different intent. The intent to sort of put people down, like as though like in a denigrating, condescending manner, like, oh, you're so stupid. Eat the corpse of dead animal. Everybody have the right to their own opinion, but the question is, why do we say it? Do we say it to help people? If it is to do that, then we have to ask ourselves, do you think that statement will help people? Do you sincerely think it will help people? And after saying it, do you then assess whether it helps? And if it doesn't help, do you then change your approach? Or do you simply keep on repeating it? Then if that is the case, if you just keep on repeating even though it doesn't help anybody, then we may have to be careful. It may be a bit of self-righteousness. Ingvi asks further, practice good meditation can prevent dementia. Well, I think many people like to think that meditation can treat everything, including dementia. I don't know. there may be some studies on this, but because the study of dementia and meditation, I have to go and take a look, then I can reply this. Yeah. Clinically, I don't recall reading anything that directly show that meditation can prevent. But there are studies of meditators, ordinary folks, not like wow, good meditators, but meditators who just do 20-30 minutes a day, and after half a year or 1 year, the frontal lobe has pronounced mass. Yeah, frontal lobe is usually attributed to cognitive thinking. Yeah, decision making, cognitive thinking, and so on and so forth. I don't know for a fact whether that can directly prevent dementia, but I think there are many factors to dementia. Yeah, I just wonder whether it is due to some, I don't know, bacteria or virus that get into the brain, or is it just a general degradation of the brain? If it's a general degradation, I would reckon that if you use the brain sufficiently, then it keeps it active, the blood flow, everything, then I think it has a higher chance to keep the cells healthy. Yeah. So if that is true, then very possibly to help. But like many things, treatment is best as a prevention, not as a cure. So if you ask a person with dementia to meditate, a bit too late. Yeah, a bit too late. Better to meditate first before that happens. We see a lot of I don't know whether there are any studies. Maybe we should do a study of all the meditators, including maybe even other traditions, not just meditation. Those who do chanting regularly, do they then is there a lesser trend of dementia? Is there some correlation? Maybe some of you have access to such studies. You all can share also. Wei Hun asks, with regards to vegetarianism, time check, 3:12. Let me just scroll through and try to answer as much questions as I can. With regards to vegetarianism, may I also suggest we can support health cruelty-free brands that don't test on animals as well? Yes, I do agree with that. I think that modern life today in Singapore has we are so interdependent on others. Yeah, there are many products that do animal testing, and it's no longer just about cosmetic products and so on. Okay, even clothings. Yeah, you know why when we wear clothings from branded stuff, it always feel comfortable? It's because they test it on animals also. They test on how the fabric, will it cause itching, will it cause like abrasion and stuff like that. The other culprit is shaving equipments. Yeah, so sometimes I wonder, like, I'm not against Gillette. Yeah, but it's like, why do you need to come up with new blades all the time, and then new handle? Yeah, not just about cruelty free, but is there really a need to go from 3 blades to 4 to 5? I don't know whether there's 6 blades now, but at some point you got to ask yourself, like, really? Because each time, if they come up with a new design, they will have to redo the testing, right? So if you just stick to the same thing, I don't know. I'm pretty okay with the 3 blade. I mean, you've already done the testing for 4 blades. Fine, let's just buy the 4 blades. You don't need to keep on doing testing, and I don't think they keep on doing testing. They do testing on new products. Yeah. So this whole thing about, I'm not against capitalism, but this whole thing about coming out new products, that companies must keep on coming out new products. This is a symptom of a sickness in our society, you know. You think about it, like wonton mee is wonton mee, you know. Like wonton mee has not changed since when I was a kid. It's still wonton mee. And will there be people who will like it more if you improve on it? Maybe. Will people, you know, stop eating it because you never improve? No, people still eat wonton mee. Cha bee hoon is cha bee hoon. Like, is there really a need to improve on everything? You know, there's this saying, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Yeah, but now with, you know, the whole idea about product differentiation and stuff, I don't know. Yeah, so I sometimes, when students want to offer shaving blades, I always tell them just buy the cartridge, and I encourage them to just buy the 3-blade. I'm like, 3-blade. If I wet my hair, I can even shave this, you know. So I don't see why normal people shaving, and I don't even shave it every single day. I shave once every 10 days to 2 weeks. I'll use the other electric shaver, which is the type, and then, you know, thin it down. Then after I shave with the 3-blade or 4-blade. Yeah. I mean, even some disposable that only has 2 blades. I found some of these blades from Gillette that it has only 2 blades, really good, really effective. Unfortunate, and the best thing is that their handle comes with the blade. And yeah, I actually want to write an article about that. It's like, why do you need to waste that? Because once you finish the blade, the handle cannot be reused, you know. So it's not just about the cruelty free, but I think there are a lot of things that we that the companies are just the way it is, you know, currently. Yeah, it's so mind-boggling for me. So hang on, I'm having difficulty looking at all the remarks because somehow the remarks are all over the place. Let me see whether I miss out anything else. Let me see all comments. Let me try to find back that question about cruelty free, because I answered halfway. Then I will answer the second part, and I will try to then wrap up. Hi Shifu, how can we contemplate on emptiness during meditation? Is there any exercise that we can use? Well, first of all, you must learn what is emptiness, then you can do the contemplation. Yeah, the current run of the Heart Sutra has already started. We have finished 3 lessons, so you all cannot sign up anymore. Wait for the next run. Or there are a lot of classes online. I think Buddhist Fellowship has an old recording of my class on the Heart Sutra. You can take a look. Once you have learned the teaching on emptiness, then you can start to do reflection. In the class that I conduct for Heart Sutra, I would guide the students to do different levels of exercises. And these exercises, the written exercises, become the basis for your reflection and contemplation when you do meditation. So Kokwa, this is a talk by itself. Okay, so I won't go into further details. Cadell, Shifu, is making amulet recognized as part of Buddhist practice? Thai monks making their own amulets. Well, this practice has been around for a while. There are many things that is not part of the traditional or part of the original practice found in the Pali Canon. Yeah. For better or worse, amulet making unfortunately is now quite common. Not just now. In fact, when I was young, there were amulets going around as well. Yeah, and there's quite a following. Yeah, people swear by it. Ironically, they believe in it, in the power of it, that they can protect them from anything. Some even profess that it can. There's some videos of some Thai monks wearing amulets and then putting themselves into this big pot, big pan or wok, and then fire below, and then putting oil there, and then it's very sad. Yeah, because it has been debunked many times, and yet people are still doing it. This, I don't know what they are doing, and there are still people who are buying into it, whether literally buying things, whether it's the ointment or the amulet and so on. Yeah, if there's one amulet that exists in Buddhism, it's the Dhamma. The Dhamma is the amulet. Yeah. But please, don't quote me and then start cutting out the sutras and then folding it, and then, I mean, in some traditions like the Mahayana traditions, we do print out the sutras and then fold it and make it into a small thing, and in a way it looks like amulet. But rightly speaking, it's meant to remind us of the teachings. Yeah, so we must first know the teachings. We must first agree with the teachings of what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, so that when we see it, it reminds us, then we move away from unwholesomeness towards wholesomeness. In this way, these amulets protect us through our own conscious decision to go towards wholesomeness. If a person keeps on going towards unwholesomeness, no amulet can protect them. Okay, so Brandon, can samatha alone give rise to jhana or must have vipassana? Yes, samatha alone can give rise to jhana. Vipassana give rise to insight. Now these two are not totally connected. Vipassana requires some level of jhana or close to jhana to have that penetration power. But samatha practice by itself can give rise to jhana. This is from Brandon. I hope that replies you. Quickly going through. Rosie asks, how do we know if we are 入定, 入禅? How? Come and attend meditation class. Michael asks, a few times recently after meditating for a while, the breath shifts from the nose to breathing from the abdomen and into the head, which doesn't make sense. Haha. Do I quickly bring the breath back to the nose, or just observe and keep breathing, watching that feeling? I'm not sure what you mean, Michael, by the breath go to the head. Yeah. Is it a sensation, or do you literally feel the air going in there? How do you know? Well, these are questions that would need to be answered first. Unfortunately, I don't know why Facebook, when you click on all comments, it's supposed to show all comments, but it doesn't. And by right, when you show all comments, you should just list in chronological order. It doesn't. It just lists in some random order that I have no idea why they do that. So I cannot find the other question about that cruelty thing, cruelty testing. Let me try to do one last try to yeah, I don't know why they this is something I don't understand about Facebook, like somehow, this is the thing about, again, upgrading things that don't need upgrading, like oh gosh, sometimes okay, so I see some comments here, but I can't seem to see all comments. Turn on live notification, turn on, yeah, I know it's going to sound funny, like, oh, finally you all see a monk who appear a bit flustered. You know, I'm a bit flustered with Facebook because I was a software developer myself, so I know it can be done another way. So it escapes me why they do it this way. Like, I'm sure they have good reasons, maybe marketing, maybe they are trying to improve the user experience. But when I click on all comments, you must show me all comments. Don't filter for me. Stop treating us like kids. It's just mind-boggling. So unfortunately, because of that, the comment that I read halfway is just missing. I just can't find it at all. Yeah. And it's not in any particular order. I have comments that is 1 hour ago. I have comments that's 40 minutes ago. I have comments that's 20 minutes ago. And then 10 minutes ago. It's just all over the place. Now, there is the newest first, right? So by right, newest first should show me the newest first. Here it says newest first is 1 hour ago. But earlier on, I saw that there's some comments 10 minutes ago. And I'm sure some of you are leaving comments now. But all I see is comments from Jessica Lim. Good afternoon, Shifu. 1 hour ago. So if any of you are working in Facebook, please tell the developer team that is doing this comments thing to leave it alone. Like, come on, basic sorting. Whatever you pull from a database, don't go and do funny things with it. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, let me just try one last time and see whether I can find that one comment. Yep, nope, that comment is just gone. Let me see whether some of the volunteers are able to help me look at it. Yeah. Lock John just tried to call me. Do you want me to post? Yes, Lock John. If you can, maybe post it. If you can help me copy and then post it into WhatsApp, it will be good. Because if you post into the Facebook, it may do its own sorting and filtering and set, I don't know. And then I cannot find it. Yeah. If you can find the one that talk about the animal testing, yeah, I'll just answer that question and then we wrap up. Okay. Done where? Post into WhatsApp, don't post into Facebook because I'm not able to read all the messages on Facebook. So if you post it into Facebook, okay, I can see it now. Finally, now suddenly all the questions come up. With regards to vegetarianism, okay, so we can practice vegetarianism not just in what we eat, but also in the products we consume, like makeup, skincare, and so on. Yes. So, most agreed. Yeah. I don't say that it is compulsory for everybody to become vegans. Yeah, vegans, strict vegans, they don't even use leather products. They don't wear leather belts. For the longest time now, if I were to be given some products or I have a choice in the products that is being offered to me, I'll try to ask for the fake leather. Yeah, I mean, to me it doesn't make a difference. Fake leather is just from PVC. Of course, there'll be those who say, oh, but Shifu, the fake leather uses polyester and so on and so forth, it's bad for environment, bad for your health, blah blah blah. Then just don't use anything. Yeah, just breathe air and drink water, you know. Yeah, I think for a start, let's try to live our life with compassion. Yeah, to minimize. To go from where we are to zero may be quite difficult. Just minimize. Minimize the cruelty, increase the compassion. To go from where we are to have the compassion of the enlightened ones, the sages of long gone past, may be a bit difficult to do it overnight. But maybe today we are this compassionate, tomorrow just a bit. Yeah, can you see? Just a bit like that. From here to here, just a bit, not too much. Yeah, and then from here you try to sustain for a few days, sustain for a few weeks, then after that it becomes the norm. Then you increase a bit again. Yeah, I think this is more sustainable. For those of you who are able to just do a one shot today like that, tomorrow, boom, please do it. Please do it. Thanks, Doc John, for helping to repost. Albert Coca Abelo, about any animal being our relatives. How can this happen if self does not exist? How can any dead rebirth in a cow if that does not really exist but it's only the 5 aggregates? Yeah, well, this is another whole topic about how is it possible to have rebirth if there's no self. Yeah, this itself is another Dhamma talk. But if you if you subscribe to no self in that way, I'm not going to go into technicalities about how that is annihilistic. Yeah, but if you subscribe to it in that way, and this argument doesn't work for you, then so be it. So be it. Yeah. Look for some ways for you to be more compassionate. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Yeah, I'm quite past trying to convince people of the teachings. If you're not convinced, I can't be helped. Shifu is making. Okay, I've already answered the amulet making. How to overcome from started noid causes? Okay, there are too many other questions. I apologize, I can't answer them all. I'm going to keep this pinned. Let me try to pin it before I lose it again. How do I pin it? Let me see. Is there a way to pin this? Okay, let me just hard this first. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I've marked it out. The rest of the questions, because it's not just one or two, there's quite a lot after that. So I'm going to leave that, and then we're going to continue next week. All right. For those who have questions that you still want to ask, feel free to post into the comments, and I'll try to answer them. If I can answer them directly, I will just reply in the comments. If not, I will spend time next week to answer those questions. All right. So keep safe, stay healthy, and I will see you all next week. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛，起立。